Yes.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports Entertainment Weekly Cricket Edition. We are back with new faces. Funnily, the new face is me because these boys have been doing this for a while now. And yes, Gandalf has a new look to go with the new face. Welcome, Rehan, Archit, and Gandalf. Good to be here on the show again. I caught your episode on Virat Kohli. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it, but the online discourse
Fortunately.
really made up
And,
for
and
it.
and fortunately, we made it to this episode
This episode.
alive and well.
Some
Yeah.
some
Yes,
Yeah.
say
you're
some say that Chris did not attend the episode because he was scared of all the hate by Virat Kohli fans. But I don't
He
agree with
knew the
those
topic
some
and he
people.
ran away. It was a
Yeah.
conscious choice. Let's be real here.
Uh, True.
coincidence. But in any case, I think we have something equally controversial today. So today we are going to dissect Hardik Pandya's captaincy and imagine the way you people ran the show with the guy who had the orange cap. You didn't need any fodder. And here we are all set to discuss a Mumbai team who is expected to be top of the table by this time, who are reeling mid table. And at the center of it is anything but one family. And you have one captain who is, you know what, possibly favored by half the squad, no more than that. It's Mumbai Indians civil war. Hardik Pandya, the inevitable drama queen is probably little too harsh, but somebody who cannot stay away from the spotlight,
The
be it
limelight.
is on the Karan Sharma, not Karan Sharma, who's the other guy? Kapil Sharma show or the Indian cricket team. So, thoughts on
Coffee with
Mumbai?
Karan.
Did
Coffee with Karan.
That was
any?
coffee with Karan.
Yeah.
I
Oh, yeah.
I
Did
think
anybody expect Mumbai to be where they are right now?
I think we should take before this discussion of whether Hardik Pandya getting changed as a captain matters, and does captaincy matter in T20 cricket. We should take a step back and answer or think about questions such as what is the role of a captain in a T20 team? Is it a just vibes, like cheer people up, motivate them, say cliched things which
Or to give them help for the
make
60 overs?
exactly just vibes. So let's put one category as vibes, motivation, like a leadership coach, and second is tactical expertise. Now, about the second part, I think the first part is definitely true. A captain does influence vibes. About the second part, Pollard said something interesting in the first or the second game of Mumbai Indians, where Hardik Pandya was criticized for not coming on earlier to avoid facing Rashid Khan. Pollard said that that decision was not Hardik Pandya's, but it was a collective team decision made tactically. So IPL teams, as we all know, have a huge uh, repertoire or a huge staff of folks ranging from
Think tank.
data analysts, batting coach, bowling coach, huge think tank. And I think the tactical part of the decisions are made by them. Now, given this, if vibes are the main factor that the captain contributes to, maybe it was a bad idea to choose Hardik Pandya, because we can clearly see the vibes are not great at uh, Mumbai Indians.
It's a fair point, Archit. This reminds me of something my uncle used to say several years back
Yeah.
when this was about football. When we discussed the role of captains, his point was basically everything the coach takes care of in football. The only reason you have a captain is to shepherd the team when you're, going to collect the trophy or something. So everybody gets in line and you don't, people aren't, pushing and shoving each other. You
Okay, but then
need
there's a difference
somebody.
though. If you
Sorry?
look at football, the role of a captain, there's a difference. Though. If you look at football, the role of a captain is just like an armband stand There's nothing more that's expected out of a captain in football. On cricket, that's not the
I
case.
think also speak to the
Even if you
refs.
have,
Yeah.
yeah, that as well.
Yes.
Yeah, my fans are here. Uh, But yeah, this like you look at T20 cricket, obviously the coaches make well set out plans for the players. You already, if you look at Gujarat Titans, the first three games, overs 1 to 6, they had the exact same template. First over by Omarzai, third over by Omarzai, and then an over of Rashid, and five different bowlers or something like that. They had an exact same template for the first three games. They followed it exactly like that. So you do have plans, obviously based on the opposition batters, etc. All of that. But then the thing with sport is things change. Something happens. For example, a wicket falls in the third ball of the over, and you have a spinner operating. And obviously, you don't want an Ajinkya Rahane to walk in at that time. You'd want Shivam Dubey to walk in for CSK and maximize the three balls of spin. He's like a boundary bank against spin bowling, and Ajinkya Rahane is a pace bowling bank at this point. So when those places, you can say the coach can make decision, but when you're on field, when you're in the fielding side, when things change, you don't see the coach running in, except Ashish Nehra. He's the exception to all rules regarding captains and coach. You don't see the coach running in and adapting to each delivery or what the field plan is or anything. You have plan A, B, C, but the captain's role is to choose which of the three to implement, which of the three would be the best. And that's where the role of a captain comes in. A lot of it is gut feel. You can say like the difference would be negligible. Most captains can make that call. Most people, like we sometimes make calls which are very similar. That doesn't mean we are like good enough to play international cricket or like bad or whatever. Like the difference is negligible is what the point is, rather.
Exactly, especially with something like your shared strategic timeout, right? The 3 minutes on either side of the 10 over mark, where a coach can pretty much walk in and give instructions anytime needed. But looks like it's going to be a very short discussion, and the conclusion being you need a scapegoat or your cheerleader at the end of a match to come and talk to Harsha Bogle. Is that all a captain does in a modern T20 game with everything pretty much templatized, like Rehan put?
Yeah, I love the fact that you mentioned see it when you said strategic timeout. Thank you, Chris, for for
Podcast is
acknowledging
looking
the
for
Are they paying you?
sponsors.
sponsors.
Yeah,
Share the bounty with us.
yeah, and yeah, here's my view. So I feel that it's probably coming to the fore right now because we have been watching a lot of cricket to create a pattern in our mind. But I feel after the era of authoritarian or rather captains who had the ultimate veto or captains who really led from the front in terms of their leadership skills alone. Uh, Case in point being Alan Border, Imran Khan, Mohammad Azharuddin to some extent, but I would say Kapil Dev actually, more than Mohammad Azharuddin, Kapil Dev, and folks like that. Even Arjuna Ranatuka, the entire 80s, 90s was full of captains who would actually have the ultimate say in a team. And post that, somewhere some transition happened. And if you notice, it's always been a leadership group. And when captains speak in the presentations or when coaches speak in the post match pressers as well. So you see a lot of leadership groups being mentioned, like, we discussed. So when they say we discuss, it's basically a couple of senior players, the captain, the vice captain, the coach, the support staff, all of them. So I think everyone in the modern game puts their heads together to come up with some kind of a plan, and the captain is the ultimate accountable person to actually execute it on the field is how I look at it. And yeah, so that's my take, and we can probably go and talk further on this.
Yeah. So let's get into the Mumbai fiasco with Hardik Pandya, right? The first three games, they look pretty clueless. Mumbai's own fans hate what's going on. They still do. And the opposition fans we are all having a field day out there because
Behave, Chris,
Mumbai is
behave.
that's Kohli for people
I
who didn't get.
no, that's Sanjay Manjrekar, not Kohli.
No, no. What I did was Kohli asking the
Okay.
crowd to.
Oh,
Uh, if you take Hardik Pandya, right? Is there anything more or less that he could have done to influence Mumbai's run in the 5 games? Like they had a close
I mean,
game.
ho-
I forgot the
yeah, honestly,
opposition, but
both they had a close game in SRH in the 92-70 chase and the one against Gujarat as well. Both
yeah,
they required 47 of 30 or something, if I'm not wrong against the game, like against Gujarat, the game against Gujarat. And
is that the
honestly, the only
collapse?
point that Hardik, uh, I mean, both the games technically, but yeah, the Gujarat game was the collapse. You can call it that.
Yeah. Mm.
The only thing that Hardik could have done differently was his entry point, and I don't know how much of that is Hardik Pandya and the coach, because as Kandav mentioned, how Kyron Pollard was talking in the post-match presser, how it was a leadership group's decision to decide Hardik's entry point. So ideally, the current version of Hardik, he is not the Hardik of old who used to bash pace, who had that mighty 160, 160 odd or plus strike rate season in that Mumbai 2020 golden team, the best T20 team ever assembled sort of thing. He is not that Hardik anymore. Right now, he is Hardik the spin basher, and he is very weak against balls on length. Yeah,
I think you're being little too harsh on Hardik here. This is the same guy who moved to Gujarat, who won the trophy and took them to a second final in 2 years.
no doubt about it. But what was Hardik's entry point? We spoke in the last video about how T20 cricket has changed from getting your batting order from wickets to like the over. So Hardik needs to come in when there's more overs of spin left. He needs to take on the spinner. Uh, he needs to take on the spinners and not the fast bowlers at the end. At Gujarat, you had Tewatia and you had David Miller to play that finisher role. Hardik was not doing that. He was that middle overs enforcer or slash anchor, to be very honest. But he does not need that. He does not need to play that role at Mumbai Indians. We have one of the best players of spin in the world in Surya Kumar Yadav. He does not need to be that middle overs enforcer. He can be that late. He has a clash with Tilak Varma in that role. Both of them require the same sort of entry point, with Tilak being slightly more versatile with his sweeps and reverse sweeps. And Hardik is just mostly down the ground, like timed power hitter sort of thing. So the only thing that Hardik could have done differently in both those games is Hardik the batter getting his entry point and choosing his risk assessment correctly. Hardik, the captain, could not have done much differently. 277 is the score. You pass the ball to anybody, they're getting smashed. I mean, the one thing you could argue was Bumrah should not have been backloaded for Klassen. When you're going for like 150 in like the first 10 overs, you need your premier bowler coming in and bowling more overs. That's there. That's the only thing. But who knows? Like he
Uh,
could have still just very much gone for runs all over there.
yeah, Archit.
Yeah,
I think about Hardik getting the captaincy, let's talk about that a bit. So, the Ambanis or the management group of the Mumbai Indians, they, like any other organization, they chose a leader because the previous leader was, he was now relatively older. He was probably going to retire in a couple of years. So, it was a natural transition plan. It's how badly they did it or how badly they managed the PR of it. The timing of it, they announced it after the auctions. They announced it without speaking to Rohit Sharma. Typically, in these situations, I remember when there was a transfer of power from Virat Kohli to Rohit Sharma. Virat Kohli came out himself and spoke about it and said he's quitting captaincy for XYZ reasons. I think considering how Rohit Sharma has been integral to the Mumbai Indians group over the last, say, 8, 9 years, they should have involved Rohit in the decision, which they didn't. So that's why Hardik gets booed. And a lot of people saying that the booing is disgusting, it's wrong. I think it's the sport is run by fans. Fans are the biggest stakeholders, and the fans are showing their disagreement through the boos. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Maybe there are some casteist and racist slurs uh, that are being shouted at. Maybe that's wrong. But is what shouldn't be criticized, especially by folks such as Sanjay Manjrekar, is the crowd's displeasure at a decision made uh, about their team. And and this happens everywhere in every sport in the world. I mean, football is used to this.
Yeah, to add on to it, like Hardik, like to put it in the simplest of terms, he just moved to a better paying job, where he got a leadership position. Any sane person would do that. The IPL or cricket, for that matter, is very much a profession. But like the players, it's not like they give their life for it. No, you're giving 20 years and you're giving a lot of hard work, and you need some return on that investment. And there is nothing wrong in doing that. And just like that, there is nothing wrong in the fans going because they feel betrayed. And that's an amazing thing, like how the home teams have built that sense of loyalty around them. Uh,
Why should
so
Chandas,
the
Hardik
fans
be
have their
booed
every
for
right.
it? Yeah, my point for question is why should
It's
Hardik
the
be
fans.
booed for it? Because at the end of the day, this was actually a management communication
Mm.
failure. It was a PR
Because
disaster. Let's be
he's
honest.
not the
The only
hero
thing
that
which
The fans just want somebody to blame, and the Ambanis don't appear as much on screen as Hardik Pandya. I mean, you can honestly argue that nowadays, but still,
then just
they don't
then
appear
just
as much.
like Sanjay Manjrekar said, if they really needed just a scapegoat and they can't really boo the Ambanis or anyone else, they just need to shut up. I understand that the fans run the game and they hold the
The
revenue
thing is,
and everything else, but
they are the biggest
uh,
stakeholders. They're the biggest
this is an
stakeholders. They paid for the game, they paid for the tickets, and they come there, and you can ask them to shut up and watch the game.
correct. No, what
They're
I
not
mean
talking.
is that when they boo a particular player, that's not fair either. That's misbehavior. Just because it's a crowd which is invisible, you cannot get away with trolling. It's not any different from trolling, right? I mean, if
you
Hardik Pandya walks towards the stands and if a particular spectator heckles at him, it's a crime and you will be actually put out of the stadium and you will be banned for life. But if a whole crowd does it, we cannot do the same thing, but we can at least acknowledge that it's wrong. And there's nothing wrong in Virat Kohli or anyone else saying, can you please guys behave? Let's not boo. Because it's
Gandalf,
no fault of Hardik Pandya. Because the only thing which can
I would
top
actually
this,
argue, I
let me
would
complete
argue
this
that
thought. I'll just complete this thought. So, well, the only thing that could top this in my from my memory is probably the way SRH handled David Warner, and by then Warner was actually the face of SRH, and I think
Yeah.
no one actually booed Kane Williamson or anyone else when they took up the captaincy. It's just an example. The
see
Hmm.
although it was again another PR disaster there, they handled it really
I think it
poorly.
was made worse for Hardik because of that comment he made in an interview, like while he was in Gujarat. He mentioned this. I would rather run a team like CSK than Mumbai because Mumbai just gets the best players, etc. And all of yes, management the real villain style. Uh,
I would
like
take a step back
management
and
they get the best players, etc. When Hardik himself was somebody who was scouted by the MI team and gotten like for 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, so I think that is where Hardik failed the fans. I mean, not failed the fans. Hardik, what's the word? Like, okay, I'm not getting the word, but that's where he went searching for trouble with the fans. And that's what came to bite him back, rather.
see, I honestly have no recollection of it, but I would argue that Hardik brings this out in fans. You have some players who thrive with engagement like this, right? You can, the most obvious parallel is in football, you have a Cristiano Ronaldo or a Zlatan Ibrahimovic. They feed off the energy of the crowd, and even if it's negative press, they channel that as motivation. I think somebody who comes very close in cricket is Chris Gale, maybe. I think Hardik likes And to your point, Kane Williamson not being booed in a very similar situation actually validates that, right? If say Rohit was sacked in the same manner he was, but you brought in Bumrah as the captain instead, do you think the MI crowd were going to be this hostile towards Bumrah? I certainly don't think so. I think it's Hardik the person, his general demeanor, carry, and he knows this is the character he's playing. He's somebody who would thrive in a WWE setup, for example, because he understands his role, and I think he's fine with it. I don't think with all the noise and controversy, I really don't think it has affected his performance personally. In fact, one of the games he actually took it upon himself after the Mumbai
The
collapse when they
Rajasthan
were
game.
like 3 or 4 wickets out, and he made it a
I think,
point.
I think,
What, today I'm going to
yeah,
silence the crowd with my performance. He's a guy who can
I
do
think
that.
that was. Yeah. I think that's the only way for Hardik to turn this out because there's no amount of PR, like written statements or press conferences, anything that's going to change the mind of fans. If you look at that Rajasthan game after that collapse, when Hardik was hitting those boundaries, people were booing him, but there was also a section of the crowd that started applauding him. There was a 90% boos and 10% applause in the beginning. And he had actually changed that to like 20, 30% applause, 35% applause. He's winning them over slowly.
Um,
And it's only his
it's
like
reminding me of
batting performances.
2019. It's reminding me of
Uh,
2019, the Ashes. Yeah, thank you very much. I couldn't go on for two to three
of
minutes
course
without
you plug
mentioning an
in.
Australian. Yeah. But yeah, I do agree that the only way that Hardik can probably respond is through his game, and no amount of
And
PR, no
people,
amount of image whitewashing, nothing would actually help turn
no
around this
amount
one.
of behave is gonna, or this is going to change. It might change, like they might make him applaud for like 30 seconds, but that's it. If they want real change, he needs to do it with his performance. Yes, absolutely. You see?
Yeah, I think with respect to captaincy mattering, I think it would depend from organization to organization. And I think IPL teams are like corporates. Uh, let's take the example of you mentioned Gujarat Titans earlier. Gujarat Titans clearly is run by Ashish Nehra. He's the alpha there. He directs Shubman Gill on what to do, what not to do. Then there are teams like Chennai Super Kings. Till last year, we can fairly say that Dhoni would be the alpha in the dressing room. He would be commanding, he would be making the final decision. I mean, of course, you'll have all the analysts and the think tank giving him ideas, and but he would be the CEO in a way. Like there is a CSK CEO which is separate, but for cricketing matters, he would make the final call. Is what it seems like from the outside. But interestingly, two more examples. DK recently in a podcast with Nasir Hussain and Michael Atherton, he mentioned that cricket is a captain's game, especially T20 cricket, and he says that all the decisions are taken by Faf Duplessis, which was very interesting to me, and that may be because of Faf Duplessis' experience, his age, that he's the alpha in the RCB dressing room, but it could vary. Again, another example of I think one of the early IPL seasons, John Buchanan, the Australian coach, he was the coach of KKR. He suggested that there should be different captains for different scenarios of the game. So that clearly meant that he didn't think much of the captain. He thought captains are replaceable, and he would run the show. So to conclude, it again depends on personality, depends on the not just the personality of the captain, but also the personality of the coach and the entire organization.
Yeah, to add on to that, we have a couple of examples of the same IPL team. You look at Hyderabad and KKR. Aiden Markram, if I'm not wrong, came out in one of the presses saying how he isn't actually getting the team what he wanted. And even Rasil was criticizing the management at KKR a couple seasons ago. And like KKR, very openly, it's not even like they're not even trying to hide it. They tried a very bad PR like post with Chandrakant Pandit being very mushy with the players and all that, but it's clearly not working. We've like any story that you come across, any player interview that you come across, you know what kind of a coach he is, and you know who's the towering presence in that dressing room, and it's not the captain who's making the decision.
And
So it does
I think
differ from
if you go
corporate
to
to corporate,
DC,
like
if you
to
go,
add on to what
Yeah, I
Archie
think
said.
yeah,
one thing caught my ear, which was Archit's point about who's the alpha in the dressing room. You know, I would even go on to compare each team and how their equation works within the dressing room. Let's take Delhi Capitals, for example. Who do you think is the
yeah,
alpha in that dressing room? Is it a Rishabh Pant? Is it a Ganguly? Or is it a Ricky Ponting? I feel that these
it's
three are
Ricky Ponting.
alphas in their own ways. And that's showing in the
I want to
team's
know what
performance, right?
conversation happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know whether they sit on the same table during the breakfast buffets, but I'm certain that there are teams which have a better equation within these stakeholders, and then there are teams where these stakeholders do not get along, or someone has the veto, whether intentionally or by force. So I think that's what finally decides how fluid and how smooth these decisions, which are made with the help of analysts and support staff, is actually executed and implemented on field.
Hey, that's a brilliant observation. Candles, can you pull up the question that somebody asked? I think that's very relevant to the discussion that we are having. So this is from Piyush. The skipper is just an on-the-fly decision maker, middleman, right? This can be mitigated with simple measures to communicate to the team. This ties down perfectly to what Archit pointed out, right? As you were talking through that, my what I was trying to figure was, is there a successful uh, blueprint to how this should be approached? And in IPL, the only go to examples you have is Mumbai and CSK. If you look at both of them, they're two teams with very shrewd management. They know what they're doing, very good scouting network and everything. And they had two captains who were the respective alphas in their dressing room, who also had the respect of the entire team. Rohit Sharma for Mumbai and Tony for CSK. And that is what is fractured. You have the same Mumbai management, but you have a captain that half the players don't feel comfortable with. So there is a lot of animosity and undercurrent in the team. I'm very keen to say where, unless, sorry, not unless, until Rohit Sharma, moves out of MI, I'm very keen to see how they handle the next 2 seasons and where they finish in the table.
Have you guys watched the Mumbai Indians Netflix documentary? Essentially, there's a Netflix documentary, I think, on one of the Mumbai Indians seasons. Uh, this was not one of the seasons they won. I think this was 2018, if I'm not wrong. I could be wrong. But essentially, it was just a complete all access to the Mumbai Indians dressing room their season. And in that, you can clearly see Mahila Jayawardene was the coach of Mumbai. So whenever a player got injured, there was communication, of course, between the management and management being Jayawardene and the owners, Ambanis. So it was always Jayawardene who used to speak to the Ambanis and act as a conduit between the team and the ownership, which showed that Jayawardene was actually the leader there, not Rohit Sharma, and that was very interesting. So for example, Hardik got injured, and in like a few games, so Ananda Mani actually called Jayawardene to ask about Hardik's status, and he actually pushed Jayawardene to check on Hardik and ensure he gets fit earlier. So he was actually accountable to the owners in a way.
Very interesting. Now, I want to go back to,
And it's a must watch documentary. I highly recommend it. It has a lot
we
of
should
humorous elements. Yeah.
we'll do that. So let's come back to reality. So 5 games in, first 3 games, pretty clueless. 2 games, they've come back and Mumbai look unstoppable. Like today, if you were to pick a favorite to walk home with the trophy, all of a
Mumbai.
sudden,
Mumbai.
it's Mumbai once again. Uh, what changed? Surya Kumar walked into the lineup. And I actually see a parallel between this and Australia's run in the World Cup, right? 2 games, absolutely clueless. The batting order was a miss, and the bowling wasn't
Head
firing. And
Watson,
suddenly you have Travis Head coming back.
Head Watson, and they
And
didn't lose a single game. Yeah.
exactly. So Surya Kumar could easily be that missing piece, given he is arguably the best batter of our generation in this format. Maybe Hardik could have just avoided the entire fiasco if he had Surya from match one.
Hardik,
So
the
am I right
greatest,
now?
the I think the greatest factor for Hardik's PR in the next few weeks will be Surya Kumar Yadav and Bumrah's form, and that says a lot about
Yeah,
captaincy. I mean,
absolutely.
at the end of the day, what Hardik has to do, which Rohit would have done as well, which Bumrah would also do, or Surya would also do as captain, is just hand the ball to your best bowler, Bumrah, or let your best batter Surya Kumar Yadav get maximum number of balls.
It's ironic how Hardik's image, Hardik could be saved by a batter and a bowler who would actually hate
It's
it. But
ironic how the real irony stays in the point where it's ironic how Hardik's image could be saved by the two people who are actually in line for captaincy post Rohit.
exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know how somebody like Bumrah feels. Man, it's a choice between bowling really well and winning the cup for my team versus screwing over the guy who took over my captaincy.
You're on mute.
That's the conclusion.
So yeah, so I was just trying to say that I think Hardik will be fine. It's just that the succession planning was very poorly managed. It was so sudden and without any transition between the ex-captain, especially when the ex-captain is going to be playing in the same team. There is always going to be a cloud of Rohit Sharma always around Hardik Pandya, unless they managed it well. So just like how Dhoni and Rutu Raj Gaikwad are playing around in the same team, but at least they managed it slightly better because of the equation that these two also share. Ruturaj looks up to Dhoni like someone like a mentor or an ex, someone like probably he was his understudy. For all we know, we never
There's also a difference in the
realized it.
thing that Dhoni is obviously bound to retire. He's already 3, 4 years too late. Purely in terms of age. Purely in terms of age. People have been thinking like he's gonna retire this season, this season, this season. Yeah, he's probably gonna
Definitely
play
not.
as long as Sunil Narayan and Andre Russell play for KKR. Yeah. Uh, but in all honesty, the thing is different. Rohit was very much sacked. Dhoni stepped down. There's a big
Yeah.
difference there. And yeah, could Mumbai Indians have handled it better? No brainer.
I I
Uh,
would also like to
yeah.
point out CSK went through the same thing with Jadeja. That we
Yes.
completely forgot and moved on
Jadeja
because
was
CSK
good.
played better in the next season. So
How
at the
about
end of the
Jadeja
day,
was good. Jadeja was
The Pakistan Cricket Board and Babar Azam? Similar story. So I think, yeah,
they're literally playing hot potatoes with captaincy Afridi, Shankar Afridi and Babar Azam.
yeah. But I think ultimately, I think Mumbai Indians will be fine. They are much more, they are a more sound organization than most other international team managements that we know of. So my take is that it's definitely going to be fine. Hardik Pandya is definitely a captaincy material, like Chris called out. He won Gujarat Titans a trophy out of nowhere in the first season, I guess, and then took them all the way in the second season. He's definitely going to be Mumbai's future for at least the next few seasons. Secondly, T20 or not, captain is one who calls the shots on the field at the end of the day in a cricket match. So I believe that there is a lot of inputs going around the captain and into the captain's head from the coach, the support staff, the analysts, the people with the laptop, and everyone. But at the end of the day, it's up to the captain to ask the mid on to go a little deeper, or ask the fine leg to go a little squarer and things like that. At the end of the day,
He
it's
gets booed
purely
for that as
between.
well.
Sorry.
Poor guy gets booed for that as well. If you ask Rohit Sharma to
Yeah.
go a little squarer to the wicket.
Yeah, I know. The job also comes with a lot of things, right? So you hear a lot of praise when the team does well, and also you have to face a lot of flack when it doesn't. So I think it's fine. The buck stops with the captain on a cricket field is my take.
I think Bumrah is the greatest captain that never was. I remember in an incident in the 2019
After
IPL
one,
final. After one, yeah. In the 2019 IPL final, there was, I think, a misfield or
Quincy
a
de Kock,
catch drop in one of the final few overs by De Kock. And
Quinton de
Bumrah,
Kock,
instead
yeah,
of, yeah,
violently.
Bumrah, instead of screaming and shouting at him, he was actually, he actually comforted him and did not yell like Ashish Nehra did once at Dhoni. I will not utter what Ashish Nehra said, but you can YouTube it. So I think I make that point because I think the biggest value that a captain presents in the field is of a glorified motivational speaker, and I think Virat Kohli did that really well for India in Test matches. The famous "Let's give them 60 overs of hell" comes to mind. The way he shepherds the fast bowlers, the way he actually manages his resources well, and I think in a captain plays a greater role in test matches because of the amount of time that you have at your disposal to spend your resources. The captain definitely plays a bigger role in tests than in T20s.
Yeah, I think the
Uh,
shorter the
like
format, the shorter the role, right? It's because
Yeah.
test matches you still have like 30 overs in a session to actually come back, even if you have messed up the first 10 overs of that session. But in T20, you blink and you are actually done for. So, good points there.
And like to add on to what Archit said, like the thing with T20 cricket, like we're not saying captaincy is irrelevant. We're saying the difference between the two captains is almost negligible. Like what Hardik does as a captain is almost going to be the same as what Bumrah would do as a captain. You'd still go give the ball to Bumrah when in need. You'd still let Surya Kumar Yadav come in and bat as many balls as you can. The difference between the two captains is almost negligible in T20 cricket is what like the biggest thing is for me at least. So yeah, moving on.
I think for me it's simple. The results speak more than anything else. You will have to say, like I pointed out, CSK and Jaddu, or even with the two games that Mumbai has played, you can already see the momentum clearly shifting. Right? If Mumbai keep at this, I think we'll look back and in just 3 months' time, this episode will sound really funny because there is a very good chance people will have forgotten all about this.
Sixth
That
title,
Hardik,
sixth title
forces.
loading, guys.
Yeah, Chepak, right? The finals, if I'm not mistaken. Fans are fickle at the end of the day. The same fans who boo, if he brings home the trophy, they couldn't care less who's the captain, right? And I would like to end this with a suggestion for another episode based on something Archit said. Bumrah being the greatest captain that never was. I have a very good shout out for somebody else. Anybody wants to make a guess on who it is? Indian.
Shane Warne. Oh, Indian. Ashwin.
Spot on. I think there is a lot of content for us to, dissect probably a few people that were never captains but would have made kick-ass captains. That
He did
said,
captain
I,
Punjab in one of the seasons, right?
Yeah.
I don't
Didn't end well. But like nothing
He
in
did. He
Punjab
did
ends well.
the entire season.
the entire season.
Yes,
Maybe
yes, he did. Yep. He captained for the entire season and then it was handed over to KL, if I'm not wrong.
But I think again, you should not judge his captaincy by that particular season because, as we said, there are so many
You should
variables
not judge
involved in the team
anything by what
success.
happens in Kings 11 Punjab or Punjab Kings.
or Royal Challengers or Delhi Capitals.
Yeah. The holy trinity of the IPL. Look at the bottom of the points
Anyway,
table, you'll find who they are.
Delhi Capitals left
okay,
out.
gentlemen, I have some.
Huh.
Who did they leave out? Don't leave us.
Delhi
I mean,
actually left out Phil Salt. They had Phil Salt in the squad last year, and they left out Phil Salt and actually bought Shea Hope. And and look what Phil Salt's doing for KKR today.
at par with letting go Hasaranga and getting Alzari Joseph to lead your attack.
My
Anyway,
friend,
so
they
some
let go
breaking
of
news.
time.
I think that's another episode in itself. RCB's lack of a think tank or whatever. So
Lack of
we are
think.
recording and publishing this on the day of Mumbai versus CSK at Wankhede. And Mumbai have won the toss. That's a good start for Hardik. I wonder if he was bored. And they have chosen to bowl. Let's see how things go. This would be the sixth game for Mumbai. I think if they win this game, they'll end up in the respectable top half and pretty much on track for top four finish. Thank you, gents, for joining in. Hardik Pandya stands. We look forward to hearing from you in the comment section and Twitter discourse.
Honestly, I hope he turns it
Pandya,
around for himself. Yeah.